Well, welcome back to the shop, guys. And what is quickly becoming an endless series of upgrades on my 2001 Beaver Patriot Thunder. I have shared a lot of the upgrades that I have done on this, but not all of them. And I have alluded that there's at least one or two upgrades that I wanted to do before I call it quits or take a break. Now, I didn't show the keypad upgrade to my power door locks, but I did show the key fob installation. Now, what I did show was I upgraded my dash radio with this SSL, a multimedia touchscreen display on it. Now, even though I already have a backup camera right here, now originally the factory did install the backup camera right here. It was a different monitor and a different camera. When I got it, it was a wireless camera and it always cut out, so I did upgrade that. But why am I talking about the backup camera? Well, when I originally got this, I also got it because it had camera inputs to it. And on this one, it has front and rear cameras. And I figured I could probably use those for side view cameras. Now, there are some systems out there that just take the place of the clearance light right there. It has a camera, it's wireless, it would just hook up to its own monitor inside. The more I've been driving these RVs across the country for Doug Sewell with Sewell Motor Coach and other customers, the less I've really found a use for those side view cameras. Often they're little cameras on the side wall right here or integrated into the side mirrors right here. And between the time delay between hitting the turn signal and the camera coming on, your maneuver is pretty much already over. But another problem that I've found is that most side view cameras don't have an infrared emitters on them. So at night, when there's no lights on the highway or the freeway, it's just a black screen that you're looking at. You're driving down the road, which is great for your night vision, but then all of a sudden a car comes up alongside and all you see is a completely white screen, which knocks out your night vision because their headlights are shooting right into your camera. Now, in fairness, if you get a nice enough motorhome, Marathon or Liberty bus conversion, or even that veranda that I just recently showed, the side view cameras do have infrared emitters on them, which in fairness does help see opticals at night. But probably my biggest problem with the side view cameras is that their angle isn't very good anyways. Generally much more concerned about seeing the clearance of my front end of the motorhome. Now, from the driver's seat right here, it's really quite difficult to see exactly where your clearance is on the front because it's a flat end. Like, you didn't even notice that there was a container from the driver's seat there. So I thought, why not forego the side view cameras and just do a front camera? After all, if I went into settings right here, I can go to camera, and it does have front camera. I could turn that on. And while I do like the idea of just a standalone front camera, I have driven enough of really nice luxury motorhomes at this point that have the 360 bird's eye camera that I've kind of become quite spoiled with, because it gives you a great view of all the traffic around you, your lane markers. And because I can see where my neighbors are, I won't hit them. Covers all the blind spots on the sides, shows you your clearance on the front. Let's get back on the road. I cannot tell you how much I love a 360 camera. That top-down view makes everything so much safer and simpler, especially on the front end. Because to my eye, that looks like I'm gonna hit the curb. But this tells me I'm pretty far away, and if I go outside and look how far away I am. So much nicer. Thank you, camera. One day you will be mine. It's also incredibly nice to be able to see that trailer, how far away from the RV it really is, when you can't really see on the mirrors. I mean, a little bit. Then I also like to see traffic coming up from behind as a driver, following up the side and exiting out the front and seeing it the whole thing the whole time. I don't have to warn you, are they in my blind spot or not? With that decision made, I decided to look online for a fairly inexpensive 360 bird's eye view camera. And because I was going to SEMA 2023 and CES 2024, I was able to talk to all the vendors to see what was available out there. And I was really quite shocked to find out there's not a lot of aftermarket support for 360 view cameras, and the ones that come with like Integra, Newmar, and some of the more luxurious motor coaches, they're not available for anybody that's not OEM. And there is still one more stipulation, is that the monitor that I used, or the radio that I used, only has RCA video connectors on it. There's no HDMI. So with all that laid out, this is what I found, and this is what we're gonna do. Right here, I've had this for about a year now, and I want to try it out. This is one I chose mostly because of the cameras. They're very inoffensive looking cameras that shouldn't look bad on the outside of the RV. I have not seen any sort of installation on this one yet. I don't know what to expect at all, although it does have, I think, an HDMI port. Remember, the monitor I put in, it's just going to be RCA, so we're going to be using the RCA hookups on it. And it looks like all 4 cameras have the exact same part number on them, so I don't think there's a front, rear, side camera on it. I think they're all the same, and they have a round plug with 4 pins on it. So now, before I drill any holes on my beloved 2001 Beaver Patriot Thunder, might as well mock the system up and see if it's even going to work, right? I've never used it before. I found it on Amazon. Who knows if it's good or not. Now, the instructions are a little bit unclear about the placement for the height of the cameras, and it's expected for a car, and this is a lot taller than a car. So I'm going to use my better judgment of copying other RV manufacturers and put these where I see them put them. And we'll be using everybody's favorite temporary solution. It definitely won't be a permanent one on this one. Now, if this works, I'll probably be moving it right about here. Maybe on the paint line there. But that's where it's going right now. As I do want to make sure I get a good view of the front, because that's my biggest concern, along with the sides here. Now, between Newmar and Integra, they put their side cameras between about 7 foot high and 9 foot high. So I'm just going to put it right in the middle, probably about 8 foot high. And I don't want to put anything in the slide out room if I don't have to run wires through there. This is my shower access, so I have a pretty good run up the sidewall if this does work. And then this is about as far back as I feel good on the driver's or the passenger side here. I put a rock right there so I can see about where the other camera is. And I have a good shot behind the refrigerator there, so I can move this a little bit if I need to. So that just leaves the rear camera to install. And while initially I would have thought I'd put it up pretty high, I think I'm going to stick to the lower levels of the side cameras. Because if you look at my rear view camera that's already there, okay, I'd have to go on top of that kick out little hood for the camera, and I don't think I'd like that angle, and I don't really want it viewable from the backup camera. It also should give me a better hitch view when I go to hook up. Now, this kit does come with the harnesses right here that are color coded for their function. But again, this was made for a car, so this harness is not nearly long enough for my 40-foot long motorhome. To say it would not be long enough would be a laughable understatement. And while I could extend the harness using my own wiring, because I do that, it's really tiny wiring, and it's going to have to be somewhat weatherproof because it's outside. So I did order 4 extension cables for this. Now, these extension cables were not offered by the manufacturer. I had to track down them based on the connector right here. It's a round 4-pin connector. It's so tiny. Just like that. So this should be more than enough what I need. And besides, I think I have a trick for the back camera anyways. Let's see. There's the part number for it. I'll try to put a link for what I found. I don't know if it's still good after a year. So for the time being, I'm just going to get my extension and bring it right to here. I suspect it was about 20 feet since I only made it to the back wheels. But that might be overestimating, maybe closer to 10 feet. Then I'll just take this, and I'll throw it up through the window here. We'll do the same thing with the side cameras with the extensions. I'll feed that one through also. And these are keyed, so you can only put them in one way, and they'll have arrows. Put that back through there. And then we'll feed that cable through. All right, so with all those wires ran through, let me grab all the rest of this and go inside. I'll just put the white wire, which is passenger side. And then we all have all the cables ran up here now. So we'll take the harness that connects all the cameras together and we'll just match up the colors. Red to red, yellow to yellow, white to white, and then black to black. So with the last one plugged in, all the cameras are connected. Now these are all just trigger wires so that if you did right turn, it would go to the right camera, left turn, go to the left camera. I don't know if I'm going to use that feature or not, but I do appreciate that they added the trigger to the harness too. So go ahead and plug that in right there. Lock in place. We have monitor, power, and then interface right over here, which I don't think we're going to be using. I'm sorry. And then we have this right here, which is going to go to the monitors. So it'll just be a RCA video cable out. It's calling this connection a CAN bus. I don't have a CAN bus. So maybe on a car you would have had a CAN bus connection you can program it for, but I don't have a car. Then the other connection would be over here with the cameras. They're calling it a UART. They call that UART. That's supposed to go to like a navigation or your display on your infotainment center. I don't have that, so I won't be using that either. Now, another feature that I haven't got into yet is this does have a USB connection right here. Now you're going to use this for a thumb drive. You can put a high capacity thumb drive on there and use this as a dash cam recorder. That's pretty cool. The last connection over here is an HDMI connection, so you can hook up to, you know, a computer or a TV HDMI. I'm planning on going to my SSL infotainment center that we installed last year, and it just has RCA video cables as an input, no HDMI for me. Now I had to Google it, but we have the video outputs C and D. One's labeled AHD and the other one's labeled CVBS. So CVBS is just composite video. The other one is, I guess, high definition composite video. I don't know if my monitor will accept that, but we'll try either one. For now, I'm going to do the composite because I'm sure that will work. And then on each one of those cables, they have a trigger for it that's supposed to turn on the monitor, I guess. I'm not really sure. We'll worry about that later. The last thing we need to do is mock up power. So we have power, accessory, and ground. I'll be putting the accessory and power together for now. Otherwise, you can see yellow is battery, red is accessory, which just means the ignition needs to be on for it to work. But as I can see, this being a security camera, you may not want it to be on switched accessory. So I'm just going to cheat a little bit. I have my cordless drill battery. I'll go to positive, which is on this side here. All right, so I got it hooked up there. And I have lights flashing here. I don't know what that means because I don't have a screen to look at. Let me go ahead and turn my radio on. I put a switch down here to kill it. All right, we have some success here. So if I hit camera on here, I do have a screen. That's the front. That's where the ladder is. It's not a terrible view there. And then I can kind of see all the way around over here. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, I can't do that. Forgot. This is not the touchscreen for that. The interface for the system is this little, I don't know what you call this, little cursor, joystick, mouse. So I'll just put this right there. It has a sticky base on it, and you just rotate it as a selector. So I can rotate to the different functions there. I think they're highlighted at the bottom that I'm doing. So that's the front camera. It's front camera wide view without the all-around view to the side. And a side view. I don't like that at all, but 360, that's weird. I don't like that either. Okay, so the proof of concept is there. I have to make some adjustments to everything. That's a backup camera. Huh. I don't know why it's written backwards. All right, I did figure it out. Okay, so if I went to my settings here, if I change it to front camera view or rear camera view, it flips the screen. So I need to take that off like it was, and then that way when I go back to camera, look, I can read it now. makes more sense. I want to say I feel pretty good about the front camera view and the rear camera view. I can see the hitch pretty good down there. The side cameras will be a little bit more effort, I think. And you can see left and right cameras there, so that's a very complicated view. The last one I don't think I'll ever use is a 360 view. I think if you select that, it rotates around. If you use the little mouse right here, you can move all the way around. They don't have a default vehicle as a RV, so I just grabbed a default vehicle as a SUV, a generic SUV. You can use a truck, and you can use a Audi or a Mercedes, all sorts of different vehicles, just not the one I have. All right, so the good news is proof of concept does work. The next step is to calibrate the cameras, but I haven't even mounted the camera, so why would I calibrate them? Because the last step is going to be calibration, and it looks like it's going to be quite the ordeal to calibrate, and I want to make sure that the cameras are mounted before I do that. I'm a little bit scared about calibration. This looks like a lot of effort here. Now this does come with the 3M VHB tape to mount the cameras with. I'll still be using the screws, and it has this tiny little fork right there that allows you to aim the cameras manually because it's a little ball and socket. This whole camera can be moved inside the housing, back and forth. It's like an eyeball. But I don't think that's going to look too bad. Obviously, without the wires, it'll look a lot better, and without the tape. This already has a black camera as a backup camera, so that shouldn't look too bad. And while I guess I could bring the front camera down to here, that would make wiring it a lot easier. I do like to be able to see the side view mirrors. Oh. In the camera, that way I can see if they're going to hit anything or not. That seems better to me. Now for fun, I did go ahead and put it down low right here just to see if that was going to be any better. I don't have much understanding of where the front of the coach is because the mirror is there and the mirror is there, so I do like it up higher. Now I went ahead and moved that camera up even further so I could see if that helped on the side view. And I found something kind of interesting. See that TV and that ladder. Right now it's hard with the gravel. I understand that. The gravel just looks like static on the picture here, but it's kind of interesting. When I'm on this view right here, it gives us two side cameras. This is the other side camera right there for now. And you can see the TV and the door that's open. If we go through the bird's eye view, you can kind of see the TV right there, but now you can see the ladder. So you can't see the ladder here, but you can see it there. So it has a forward-looking section and a side-looking section all in one camera. That's kind of interesting. Now overall, my coach is about 40 feet long, and so the tape measure, that's pretty close to the end. 20 feet is right there, and if I look straight up from there, that's my refrigerator, and about where the camera is, right in the middle. Now, like I alluded to earlier, I don't really want to put a camera on the slide out because I don't want to run a harness through the slide out. After all, I am a technician, and I understand that wiring harnesses going through moving parts is not ideal. So that's the next step. I tear it all apart again, and then put the cameras, and then mount them. So there we are at the front of the coach. We follow this down to 20 feet. 20 feet is right here, right in line with that panel of the slide out. And I don't think there's going to be a difference in that fisheye between that foot there or that foot there. I think I'm going to favor just putting it on the sidewall of the coach, running it down past the shower to there, and then down in the basement to the front, rather than just trying to cheat and do it right in the middle, because I don't think all the work and possible damage is worth the hassle, personally. Now I've also noticed the manufacturers don't like to put the cameras in the slide outs either. When you have the slide out rooms open, Usually the cameras can't see past the slide out rooms and it looks all weird on the 360 view. So I think we're doing well there. And so this is just going to be right behind the shower. You can see the corner of the shower right there. We look underneath. You can see the drain. It's a good time to inspect for any mouse droppings, which I'm not seeing any, and that'd be the front. We walk in, so we can get down to the basement pretty easily here. If we come inside to the shower area, you can see I got a corner. It's gonna be on the other side of the surround right there. Down into the floor. I think I can get from there. Now then the rear camera, hello, is gonna be in the closet. I have a plan on that because I think I can hack something that's gonna work for me, make this a lot easier rather than having to run it all the way through the engine compartment, into the basement, to the front. So I'm gonna try to make that one work. And when I get to that point, I'll let you guys know if it worked or not. That's the complete system. All right, so this is what I've come up with when it comes to the rear camera here. Now, I did just replace my rear view camera right here. And so that's why I think if I do this, I can just put this right here. It won't be in the way of the backup camera. And the wiring is just on the other side right here. And also, even though it looks a little bit awkward right there, that is the point that sticks out the most. I'll still be able to hopefully see the hitch down below. If I would have gone down low like I thought I was going to, I don't think that helps me out much because I still have to run the wire all the way up there, and there's, I think, a cross beam right about there I'd have to go through. I'm also thinking that because the front camera's up high, the side cameras are going to be up high, it'll be easier to stitch all 4 cameras together if they're about the same height. That's my hope. So if we look right here, I hacked the original harness, a video harness that Beaver ran a long time ago for my backup camera, and I used 2 of the wires for the video feed because there was already power back there, and that leaves me 4 wires, which I hope will be enough for this, since this has 4 wires on it also. And back here you can see my extra harness is still right there, so I can just drill a hole right through here. Okay, I don't really like the layout of this. I feel like the top would be where you want the most weatherproofing, not a big hole to it. But that's what clear silicone is for. So now we can finish up the installation. Yes, I do still have some peeling paint back here. It's on my list of things to do. I'm trying, guys, I'm trying. It's 25 years old. I probably should have cut the end off of this cable to make sure that that's all I needed was 4 wires, but I feel pretty confident that was it. Maybe I should have stripped back or cut back more of the harness too. I don't know why I cut it so short. 1, 2, and then a shielded wrapped wire too. Perfect. Now these are incredibly small wires. They're about the size of the wires you'd find in a phone or data cable. I know a lot of people say you should be soldering these, but I'm telling you, the solder, all it does is wick up after melting the insulation. It wicks up here and makes this part of the wire very stiff, while underneath it's still very malleable. And so it's just a perfect place for the wire to break because it won't bend at the solder joint. So I haven't found soldering to be a good decision. Now, I have had some limited success using these weatherproof phone wire connectors. You just push the wires in the end right there and then crimp it down. But I've also had these not make a very good connection because this is braided instead of solid core like most phone wiring. So I'm just going to use red butt connectors, and I'll put the wires together and just use one end of it. That way the wire doubles up, makes a good wire nut. It's been my experience. So on this one right here, I got the 2 yellow wires. This is probably video, that's why it was shielded. And I know people are going to say you probably should keep the shielding wrapped around it, but it's fine. And so now I can just plug this in right here. And as long as my wiring color code matches up front, even though I did yellow to yellow, red to red, braided to braided, and the only different one is pink to blue. So as long as I match the color code up here, we should be fine. This will go to the controller up there for rear camera. It's still red, using the existing harness. And for those of you asking, this was the original backup camera harness that Beaver ran to the backup monitor here before. They also ran a coax cable, but I didn't get good video feed through that. So luckily, I think this is going to save me a full day's worth of work. And often hacking the existing harness is how I put a new system on anyways, because Weldex, Jensen, ASA, even Sony, their cameras go obsolete pretty fast. So it's easier just to use the existing harness and butt connect them like that than to run a whole new harness again. Now in years past, I would have just drilled a hole blindly and hoped for the best, but now it's 2024 and I can get a forward-looking infrared and see if I'm going to hit framing right there. All right, so using the forward-looking infrared here, you can see the side wall does have some framing or structure in it, because I want to make sure I'm not going to hit that. This is a semi-monocoque construction on it, and so right in the middle of the swoosh here, you can see there is some framing there. But way up there, where I'm going to mount it, doesn't seem to be any framing, so we should be clear right there. Over here on the refrigerator side, it's in the shade, so it's a little bit harder to see, but right next to the window is a frame, and I'm not seeing any framing I have to worry about over here. Right below the awning, you can kind of see a gusset and then a frame structure that goes all the way down to the belt line. Hello. All right, time to run some wires. Okay, so there's my hole right there. I can feed the wire down. Hopefully pick it up down here. And just like that, we got it halfway through the hard part. All right, with that one mounted and sealed up, I just have to pull the wire, and I'll do the same thing on the driver's side through the shower wall like I pointed out before. I know what a lot of you guys are probably thinking. Why wired? Why don't you just go with a wireless system? Now, I've been running wires since I first started working in the RV world, putting camper shells on pickup trucks in 1999. And it's my least favorite thing to do is to run wires aftermarket, but I still think there's a better choice than going wireless. But I'm almost done. Just have the two side cameras to finish connecting up underneath here. All right, with it all temporarily wired up, I can start aiming the cameras manually. I go to the back camera. It's definitely pretty crooked, so let me see if I can't aim it a little bit better. And to do that, I'm just going to use that little tool. Put it in little holes right here. Then I can twist it. I think I want it to point down a lot more than it was. I don't need to see out so much. I want to look down. And that should be a pretty good top-down view, even a pretty good hitch view from here. I can always adjust it more if I need to. I just have to adjust the side view cameras and then put the whole RV back together. I have a lot of things torn apart here. And I just mounted the controller right there. Went the Monaco way with some Velcro holding it on. But it's always best to check your wiring and everything before you tie everything up, because you might find out there's something wrong, like my driver's side camera doesn't work. So if I would have tied everything up, I'd have to tear it all apart again. So that's why I don't do it anymore. Now I found out that my extension cables weren't long enough. I needed 2 more. So hopefully you can order longer ones than I did. But it worked out pretty well, because that meant I didn't have to put the plugs in the wheel well, which is not a great place for any connection. I'm just going to go ahead and protect it with a little bit of loom. Okay, I'm not quite too old for this yet. I'm getting there though. All right, now before we go back to start to calibrate the cameras and everything and take a look at, make sure the wiring's okay, I do want to touch on one point, because I still have to put my dash back together so I can drive this thing around. There is the leads for the turn signals. Now I alluded that I haven't decided if I wanted to hook these up yet. I don't think I do. The idea is that if you did left turn, it would go to the left camera, right turn would go to the right camera. For me, I find the delay always to be a little bit frustrating, and it is a good percentage of the reason why I'm wanting to do the 360 bird's eye camera to begin with. It is an option. It does look like it could happen. I don't think it's an option I'm going to use, but I did want to let you guys know it does exist. All right, so hopefully you guys can see the basic layout of it. I still have to install the, I don't know if I call it a joystick, but it's the input dial, and I think right about there will be perfect for me. There doesn't appear to be any up or down, so you don't have to clock it at any position. And right here is pretty good access from my right hand when I'm driving down the road. All right, let me go to settings and push. Okay. I think we're ready to do some calibration on this. I'm not completely confident how useful the 360 world view is, where you can see all the way around, but I do have to stitch this together. But that is pretty cool, because that is a fifth wheel over there. This has a pretty good shot all the way around. Even my truck, which is pretty far away, you can see. If anything, maybe I should aim the side camera up a little bit more. So you can see the fifth wheel, which is way far away from my motorhome here. That's why I said the truck, which is much closer, you could barely see. So I might need to raise that camera up a little bit. So I did pop it up a little bit, and I'm a little concerned about how easy those move. Once this gets locked into place, it might be advantageous to put some adhesive, some sealant, some glue, whatever you want to call it, to keep them from moving, especially when you're washing it. Let's see, well, I guess you can see the truck a lot better now. Let's go ahead and get out of that view. Looking straight down. I do wish I had a bus or a motorhome overlay on it. And I'm not sure how easily something like that can be added to this system, because it does have the 3D modeling on it. So it's not just a picture. You'd have to have a 3D rendering of the motorhome. That's fine. This is just testing the whole system out. So the next step is to calibrate. Now, nowhere in the instruction does it talk about where to do this, other than the mat right there. But I'm gonna suspect stitching all this gravel together will be a very difficult thing to figure out. And having some nice straight lines that are already on the ground should make calibration a heck of a lot easier. And I'm gonna go find a place where nice straight lines are already in the ground for me. And lucky for me, it's a pretty RV friendly location. It shouldn't take too long to get there either. And that's a pretty good view. Now this is what it looks like currently before I calibrate it. I'm not displeased with it. If I were to switch over to the front view with the side view, I like that view even better. Just for a front view camera by itself, this is already going to be more than what I wanted. I'm just going to go ahead and pull into this great big shopping center. I already enjoy this view I was talking about. It's hard to see. There's a curb right there. I don't have to get out and see if I'm going to clear it or not. I already know I'm not going to clear it, so I just back up. And I can see behind me too. Look at that. Now I'm going to clear. It's going to pass me momentarily. You can see it right there. There it goes again. So nice. Alright, enough playing around. I'm gonna look for this spot right here. Nobody else is parking over here. All the lines line up. Let me get centered as much as I can with my mirrors. And I'm straddling the middle lane. And that should be about where I want to be for you guys. Sorry, I keep wanting to use that knob. Let me look around. Alright, so you can see how off skew my side cameras are. So that's what I wanted to check. I don't know if you can see how skewed they are. That, I think, is going to cause some problems. So I think the first thing I want to do is turn the cameras with the little tool right here until I get them as straight as I can. So I feel pretty straight in the bay here. Like I said, there's nobody in this area, so I'm not blocking any parking. And I'm not sticking out, so hopefully UPS trucks won't hit me. And I'll twist it. Hopefully that straightens it up. Alright, just like that, that line is straight now. Now I can say it's counterintuitive. It looks like you need to twist it to the front. You have to twist it to the back because it's a mirror image of what you're expecting. But you'll figure it out. Pretty simple. Alright, so for the most part I feel pretty good about what I'm looking at here. Looks pretty straight on the rear camera. This front camera is pretty straight. Let's see. Side cameras look pretty straight too. So I think at this point I'm ready to calibrate. I think just doing that already helped the 360 projection out quite a bit. So now I'm just going to go select setup, go to system, go to calibrate settings. Okay, I might have hit a snag at this point with calibration. I have my calibration mats right there. I don't know if they're going to work with the settings that it needs here. Also, even though it's not windy at all outside, this is trying to blow away, so I have to anchor this down. I don't want to do that in the middle of a parking lot here either. Since I have the straight lines on the cameras, I feel really good about it at this point. I know this was for a car anyway, so this was just something I was trying out. Basically what you're supposed to do is lay the mat out all the way around, set the distance right here. When we go to the calibration screen, and 2.3 meters is already not even half the length of my RV, so I'm not sure that's going to help. But then you would just hit calibration, and then it says it's going to calibrate. But I get a failure because there's no mat to calibrate against. See? But I'm not quite confident how much that bothers me right now. In fact, if I looked on the side, I'm already really pleased with the way that looks. So this is how I would probably be driving down the road, and I already feel good about it. So I don't know if that I'm going to go much further than this. But I will get back to the shop, try this out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. There's important information I have to have for you guys as far as the system goes at the end of the video anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the shop. And if you guys are asking, yes, I can still listen to the radio or my Bluetooth streaming when I'm watching the front cameras, okay? If you were to look up right there, I can't really see it from my position. So already having this is exactly what I wanted. And I'm gonna clear that without a problem. I'm gonna take you guys back on the freeway and we'll see how that looks with cars coming up on the side. Yeah, the stitching is a little bit off, but I'm more concerned about being able to see in front of me and to the sides at night and during the day. So if I can see cars next to me in my blind spot, I've succeeded in doing the one thing I wanted. If I can see cars or any clearances or any obstacles in the front, we've more than done what I wanted to do. car's coming up beside me. There it is. That's going to come out the front. There it is. Exactly what I wanted to see. Now, my lane markings are not completely into where I'm supposed to be because I'm so up high. I think that's a big problem. But this solved all the problems I think I really wanted when it comes to having a camera system on an RV. I'm unaware of a wireless system that'll work currently. Wireless would still have to have power to it. Their refresh rate is a little bit sketchy for me, and the loss of communication is something I've ran into quite a bit. All right, so we made it back, and overall I'm very pleased with the way it worked. I did make a valiant effort to use that mat that came with it to lay on the ground to stitch it out better, but it didn't work, so that part. But when it comes to the actual appearance of them, I do like that. They are black, they match the windows. Obviously they could be painted. My experience is once you paint them, you're gonna have to replace them. And I don't think it's that offensive looking. My window awning hooks aren't painted. If we look back here, it doesn't look like it's too much different than the backup camera that's already there anyways. Same with the side right here, but that's why I wanted these cameras in particular, because they were small and didn't stand out and didn't have an exposed wiring harness. Really pleased with that. But there's still one more cool thing about this system that we haven't touched on yet. And I have it here in my pocket. I have a whole bunch of USB thumb drives. Get this out of the way right here. I routed that USB drive and I installed a thumb drive right here. Now this is a 64 gig thumb drive. And that means we have a all-around security camera recording everything. So while I already drive with a pretty nice Van-True dash camera that has a rear-facing camera on it too, it means I can also access the recorder. You can format that memory, and let's see what it looks like. I haven't even looked at it yet. Records in an MP4 format. Okay. Let me go back. Look at that. You can see yourself driving down the road, all 4 views, and it should be time stamped right there. So now when it comes to having an accident, you don't just have a front end view, you'll have a rear view and side view, giving you a lot more legal protection, which I think it was an accidental huge bonus that this system gives. You can also have it set up to record when you're just parking. So at an RV park, campground, or even if you're in a service center, you can have it recording what's going on outside your RV the whole time. Now I only have a 64 gig thumb drive in there. I don't know if it automatically starts to, I don't know if it erases and goes over the top once it runs out of space, go back over again, but because it is on a thumb drive, very easy to transfer out. You don't have to get a memory card extracted out from the unit under the dash there. And while as a technician, I'm always a little bit concerned that somebody has a camera set up recording me, it's also their right, and I shouldn't be doing anything wrong to begin with. But that was this 360 bird's eye view camera that I got off from Amazon. Now there's a few things to know about. Like I said before, I bought this over a year ago, and I've looked on Amazon since then, and I can't find it. There's a very similar one that I'll put a link to in my description there. The biggest difference on it is that it only has HDMI output on it, and the side cameras are a little bit different. But that's a really fun, huge upgrade for me as a driver. Gives me a lot more peace of mind when I'm driving. And one of the last 3 big upgrades I wanted to do on my RV, or was last 2 upgrades. I'm really happy to have it finally done. I've been tripping over that box for a long time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think this is what the industry should be going around with from this point on. It'll help you park. It'll help you make sure you have front end clearance on it. Those side view cameras at night, like I said before, they're not infrared, so you can't see anything other than darkness at night, except when headlights come up on the side. It just blinds the camera, and it blinds the screen, and it blinds the driver, so it doesn't do any good there. A lot of times they're flip-flops, so you don't have any real idea what that side view camera is actually looking at. And having a top-down view, at least you can see a lot more than just bright headlights. You can actually see a car coming up on you. Like I said before, I already had a backup monitor that I replaced there. But since I had all of this taken apart anyways, and this is just a composite video running up to this monitor right there, I figured, you know, why not just tap off of that? I have rear view camera input on here, and now I have my backup camera down here too, so I can go back and forth very easily on my system here. Not that I'll ever probably use that feature, but it was something fun I thought I would do anyways. If you have any questions about how I installed it, why I installed it, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. I do my absolute best to read the comments and answer them when I can. This was a big project that I've been putting it off, so I'm excited to share it with you guys. Again, I don't know, this is just a car system. It was not meant for RVs. The system that I found on Amazon that's very similar is intended for buses, trucks, and RVs, so it might be a little bit better than this system. But as always, thanks a lot. I appreciate all the support you guys give me. But that was it, guys. My 360 birdeye camera view upgrade that I've been hinting at for well over a year and a half. I don't know why RV manufacturers aren't installing it on every RV at this point. I think it'll be pretty standard here in the next few years. This system costs less than $500. If you're putting it in at the factory, I don't know why it would charge more than $1,000 for it, but it's probably some of the best money you could probably spend. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Bye. One more thing for the owner's packet and the future owner, if they're so lucky. And I am sorry about the noise. Currently right now, Tom's crew is repairing the paint on this Sunseeker. I'm trying to stay out of their way because they do great work and don't need me mucking about. If I exit out of here, let's see if I can't exit out of here. I don't know how to exit out of here.